Welcome all our viewers to On the Rock channel. My name once again is Reverend Dr. Uche, your host. This is a channel that runs teachings on life issues based on the principles of the Word of God. Because my conviction, according to the scriptures, is that a life that is built on the principles and values of the Word of God is a life that is built on the rock. And that rock will stand the test of time. So far, we have been bringing teachings on marriage. And we've seen so many segments of it, starting from the origin of marriage, the purpose for which marriage was set up, God's blueprints for marriage, and other topics. Last week, we started on the menace of divorce. That was our last teaching. And in it, we saw just one aspect of it. When we're talking about menace, we are saying indirectly the risk, the dangers that comes out of divorce. So in that last teaching, we saw that divorce affects the society. It brings chaos to the society, knowing that marriage, it is through marriage that the home is formed, and a group of homes or families make up the society. So whatever affects the marriage indirectly affects the society. Today we are continuing on this same topic, the menace of divorce. I want to see the other dangers that divorce poses on lives. So the second menace of divorce is that it affects the psychology and dignity of the persons of that relationship. It places a toll on the people that are involved in that relationship. Divorce reduces the worth and value of the marriage institution. And it makes a ridicule of the people that are involved in the relationship. Just imagine a couple that once said, I take you as my wife or as my husband, in an attempt to affirm the spousal meaning of the body. And all of a sudden, they just come up and said, you are no more my wife or my husband. It makes a ridicule of them. It puts a question mark on their dignity, on their integrity. It negates the recognition of the spousal meaning of marriage. Those people, they lose the essential value, their own essential value. People look down on them. People look at them from low esteem. Even they themselves, the couples that are parting ways, that are divorcing, they feel inferior, sort of. They feel withdrawn when they're in the public. They feel uncomfortable. They don't even open their mouth to say that, oh, I was once married, but now I'm out of the marriage. So it literally affects the dignity of the couples themselves. So this is one of the dangers of divorce. They are looked, in fact, in a society, when somebody says, or you are identified as a divorcee, people want to kind of, they look somehow to that person. So this is what we're trying to bring across to those that are intending to divorce, that they could do something about it in order to protect their integrity, in order to protect their value within the society. Number 3 danger in marriage, in divorce, is the negative effects on the children. Divorce places negative effects on children that are born out of that wedlock. Children that are raised up in that family, in that marriage. Divorce places negative effects on them. They are exposed to a lot of challenges. They go through a lot of psychological trauma. Children, there are so many children today that are raised in single homes. I mean, when I talk of single homes, means their parents have divorced. They are either staying with their father or their mother. Many a time, more on their mother's side, because though they are still minor, if they are still underaged, when the divorce takes place, the law legally, makes the mother to take custody of the children. So those children are growing in the absence of their father. Maybe here, the father may just visit once in a while, but the influence the father could have on them in the process of training them will not be there. And so they are not getting a balanced training, a balanced influence from both parents. So such children are exposed to a whole lot of trauma. They experience lack, not just lack of material things, but lack of affection from both parents, lack of training, the influence they are supposed to get from both the father and the mother that will shape their lives will not be there. And so this is one of the dangers of divorce. For people that are contemplating divorce, they should consider what their children will go through. And so, those children that are raised in those single homes, many of them resort to addictions. They find themselves into criminal activities. Many of them become dropouts from school. Academically, their performances may be hampered because a child that is having trauma at home, that is psychologically stressed at home, will find it difficult to read with concentration. Will find it difficult to pay attention in the class when the teacher is teaching. And so it will definitely affect the academic performance of that child. And this is a great danger. The youth among them become vulnerable to a variety of difficulties or challenges, ranging from maladjustment, antisocial, behaviors, interpersonal behaviors, problems. They find it difficult to relate well. Many a time they are withdrawn when they are with their mates to avoid being ridiculed. They find it difficult to relate. Some of them could become hostile from what they are going through at home. They could pour out that hostility on their friends. And so these things affect them seriously. They suffer self-low esteem. They suffer it. They feel undervalued. They hate themselves when they're in the midst of their friends. Supposing they're in the midst of their peers who are discussing of how their parents are taking care of them, the type of love they are getting from their parents, and they were asking themselves, what have I done to deserve this? They feel abandoned. They feel neglected. It affects their psychology. This is a great trauma. And it is one of the greatest dangers in divorce. And the reason, like I said before, is because those children are not getting the balanced parental security Security here is not just protection from physical danger, but the economic provision, the emotional provision, the emotional touch they should get from their parents are not there. So they are not secured. And it does not mean well for them. We can save our world today from these dangers, from these risks, starting from the negative influence on the society itself, or the spouses themselves, or the children born out of that wedlock. Even by extension, the parents, the relations of those spouses, they also get a share in these dangers, in these negative influences. A parent, a father that gave out his daughter in marriage and hearing tomorrow that the marriage has broken up, that man will not be happy. The mother will not be happy. The brothers, the relations of that woman or that man will not be happy. We can save our world of these troubles, of this menace, by not accepting divorce as a good option. In fact, divorce has never been a good option. It's not an option that should be embraced, but effort should be put into place to resist it, to avoid it as much as possible. And this is why we are bringing these teachings, to try to source out an alternative to divorce, to find a way we can circumvent these menaces, these troubles, these risks that the world is facing today because of divorce. In our next teaching, we shall be looking at the trouble spots in marriage. What are those things that could spark off the fire of troubles in our marriage relationships? And I want to believe that these teachings have been blessing you. Please subscribe to this channel. Like and share the teachings that you are receiving from this channel to your loved ones. The knowledge we are sharing here could heal a broken marriage, and it could also guide those that are planning to enter into marriage relationship. Remember, a life that is built on the principles and values of the Word of God is a life built on the rock. And that life will surely be able to withstand the inevitable storms of life. There will be storms in our marriage relationships. When we understand the truths of these teachings that are based on the principles of the Word of God, we can be able to withstand those storms. Until our next teaching, remain blessed. Thank you.